But all this time I thought that I had like some disease that I was dying of and that there was like a brain tumor or some small vessel disease or
Hmm.
something that was going
Hmm.
to kill me. And so once I realized that I was safe and that it was just, you know, it was like my brain was like, okay, I don't have to do this anymore. Like
Wow.
I can just relax.
So you want to make an impact. You're thinking about starting a business, sharing your voice. How do women do it that handle motherhood, family, and still chase after those dreams? Well, listen each week as we dive into the stories of women who know. This is Call Me CEO. Welcome back, everyone, to Call Me CEO. It is 2025 and episodes have been airing for weeks, but I took a big break of recording way before Christmas. So this is really fun. I feel fresh and excited about this upcoming year. And also, thank you so much for those of you who have reached out and thanked me for the episodes of Call Me CEO. It is not about me, my friends. It is about all of you. And I'm so grateful for you sharing this show and for being inspired by the women of these episodes. And I know that today's episode is going to be no different. And isn't that exciting and so powerful that we can learn and love and grow from each other's experiences? And today we're going to be doing that with my friend Amy Cole. She is a web developer and Divi expert. She has been helping people build and grow businesses online through websites for years. And in fact, I was one of her clients over a decade ago when I was launching My Mommy Style, which is still alive and kicking. And it is so fun to reconnect. And we have had a pre-call where we're talking about what's been going on with her. And I am just blown away because not only are we going to be talking about how to nurture and take care of the leads that you get for your business and how to do that appropriately and in an easy, tangible way through your website, but also how she has learned to grow and take care of herself mentally, especially with the stress load that we take on as women and as entrepreneurs. So this is a very vulnerable episode, and I'm so grateful to Amy that she is willing to go there with us because this is when we really connect and share those real life moments that create the life that we're hoping to create. So, Amy, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Camille. I'm so excited to be here. And I know that is probably going to help somebody. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, how many kids you have, if you're married or not. Give us a background a little bit about where you're calling in from.
um, I have been married three times. My first marriage was 10 years. My second marriage lasted 16 years. They were both really dysfunctional, and now I'm married to my very best friend, and we've been married for a little over 3 years, about almost 4 years. So, and I have three boys that have grown up and moved out of the house, and a daughter who's still home. She's 17. So
Wow. Almost empty nesting. Does that feel
almost,
weird?
but I really don't want her to leave. I'm just like,
Yeah.
stay, stay.
Oh, I can understand that. I have three sons and a daughter too. She's second in line though. So she'll be out of here. She teases me all the time and she'll say, "Mom, I'm going to live across the world. So I might only see you once a year." And she does that just to give me a
Just to
hard
make you
time.
sad.
Yes. I'm like, I have one daughter. Stay close so I can, I don't know. You just hear about that the daughters typically stay closer to the mom, where the sons will
Yeah,
follow their wives wherever. So I'm just like, I just want to be near my kids and their babies. That would be the ultimate. So,
yeah,
yeah. Well, very cool. Okay.
yeah,
The reason to give people context of introducing all three marriages, it is
yeah,
because it has a part to play in the story that you're about to share, which I think
yeah.
many women listening can relate to. So, let's dig into that a little bit. What I want to tell you, or have you tell us about your recent experience that happened in August, where you got to a place of being so overwhelmed and stressed that you started to
Okay.
suffer some pretty intense health
Yeah,
issues.
yeah. So on August 14th, I was having a really stressful day. I was launching about three websites, and I had, all kinds of clients calling me all day, telling me their stuff was urgent. And I was working on like every tab open, trying to like finish something, and then somebody else would call. And then the last straw was there was somebody that had been in the hospital and his site had been kind of in vacation mode, and somebody hacked in and charged all kinds of fraudulent credit card charges on his store, and he was on the hook for thousands of dollars in chargeback fees if they didn't get deleted and refunded in time. So I was like really feeling the stress that day and super, super like over the top stressed. And this wasn't new for me. I like kind of lived on stress. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't remember my husband's name. I couldn't remember my daughter's name. I couldn't remember anything I had done that day. And
My
I
gosh.
was just kind of like, what's going on? So I checked in the mirror to see if I was having a stroke. I couldn't see anything like weird with my body. So I laid down and took a nap and thought, okay, when I get up, it's going to feel better and I'll be okay tomorrow. But it wasn't better. And it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And every day something new would happen. And it got to the point where my head was twitching, like not twitching, but like jerking to the side.
Almost
And
like
then my body,
Tourette's, like you're
yeah, it
having.
was like really weird. It was like my head would just keep twitching, and then
Mm,
my body would start doing these weird twitches too. And then it started becoming like uncontrollable jerking throughout my whole body so that I couldn't even walk. I couldn't drive. I could barely talk.
my
I
gosh.
was having a hard time remembering and thinking, and I really thought I was dying. And I was Googling everything I could because I couldn't get into the neurologist or, um, I kept my I kept trying to get a referral and I kept getting rejected because they said I was too young to have Alzheimer's. And so they were like, you just need to go see somebody else. And I was just like, but this is obviously like a brain thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and so I had all these scans and they tested and they were like, you don't have a brain tumor, you're okay. There's the only thing there is like some weird stuff in the MRI saying it was like lesions in the MRI. And so I was looking things up on Google and I was not finding anything. Everything didn't quite fit. And then one day I saw somebody's video and it looked like I had like some really rare disease there was no cure. It was just, you know, your brain would die a little at a time and there was no treatment, no
Terrible.
cure, and then you would just die. So I really thought I was dying and it was getting worse and worse and worse. And I really thought that I wouldn't even make it until Christmas. And this was, we were in a play and I just kept saying, you better find somebody else to be my backup in case I don't make it. It was I really couldn't move. I was like, I might have to
How
have a walker on
terrible.
stage or a wheelchair or something. And then I was to the point where I just thought, I'm not even going to be here for this performance.
So what was the
And
timeline? Because I know that with when that first day was happening where it kind of offset to the point where you're in this
oh, it
desperation
was
and thinking you're dying.
months.
Oh,
It
months.
it was months. It was every day it was getting worse and it was going on for months. And finally, I can't remember, but I think it was November when we finally saw the neurologist. I had a friend that was a doctor and he said, call the receptionist every day and ask if they have any availability. Like, and just tell her, I'm trying not to be annoying, but I'm really scared. And
Yeah,
so I did it. I called every day and uh, I was just as persistent as I could be because it really was my last thing. Like I didn't have any other way to get in to see this neurologist and get any answers. And everybody was telling me, it's got to be your brain. It's got to be your brain. And so um, finally I got in to see him and he said, we see this a lot in people that have had abuse in their life because your brain tries to hold back all the bad things that have happened to you. And then when you get into a really stressful situation, your brain can't hold it all back anymore. And then it just kind of malfunctions. And so it's called functional neurological disorder was what I had. And um, as soon as he told me what was happening, it was like everything went away. All my symptoms disappeared and I felt like totally normal. I drove home. I thought clearly. I was able to move without twitching or jerking. Like the only thing that was this that stayed was a little bit of ringing in my ears and a slight headache, and even that has gone away.
It's
So it
incredible.
was
Okay, wait,
just
wait, wait,
really
wait, wait.
weird. Yeah,
Let's back up because I love when you explained this to me the first time. You said it wasn't a hardware problem, it was a software problem.
right,
And when
right.
you had it explained to you that way, your brain was like, oh, that makes
Yeah,
sense to me, especially doing what you
being a
do.
computer worker. Yeah,
Yes.
so like
I'm like, you couldn't have
because I have
explained
this
it
computer
better.
background.
So, for people who don't
Yeah.
understand that description, explain to us what that meant to you.
Um, well, it just meant that I wasn't dying. Like I really, really thought that I was dying. And then all of a sudden, it was like my brain said, okay, I can handle this. I wasn't like, I can put this back because he said everything was like behind this thing. And then my brain couldn't keep it there because like all the bad things, my brain couldn't keep all those bad things back anymore because of the stress. But all this time I thought that I had like some disease that I was dying of and that there was like a brain tumor or some small vessel disease or
Hmm.
something that was going
Hmm.
to kill me. And so once I realized that I was safe and that it was just, you know, it was like my brain was like, okay, I don't have to do this anymore. Like
Wow.
I can just relax. And I don't know,
Which
it
is,
was the weirdest thing, but
yes, that's so fascinating to me, though, the power of the mind that not
right.
even having to go through therapies yet, not that that isn't
No.
needed or
And
something you do.
and I don't know what I'll do if it comes back, I'll probably have to treat it. But like for right now, I'm kind of like, well, let's just let sleeping dogs lie.
You're
I'm
like,
really,
hey, it
I'm
went away.
like,
We're good.
I'm like so scared to even like get into it. And so I had to take a different, you know, like I closed my business and have been trying to find other ways to help people, but it's been a really scary thing. Like you don't
Mhm.
realize until you face death what's really truly important in your life. Like
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I didn't care about any clients. I didn't care about um, anything on the computer. Like for months, I was just grateful to have time holding hands with my husband or talking with my daughter. And, it was really a hard time. And I was trying to figure out, have I done all I can in all of my relationships? Have I tied up all the loose ends financially? Have I prepared enough for my daughter and for the things that she'll have to face on her own? Like there was just so many things that I was not prepared for, just and now like I look at things differently. Like when people are saying, "Oh, what are you going to do? This has to work with this new business idea." And I'm just like, well, if it doesn't, I know there's a plan. I don't think I was just saved for like for nothing. I think
Mhm.
there's a way I can help people and not that it's all about me, but just that I feel like there's a reason for everything. And I feel like I I focus a lot more now on what can I do today to help people. And so I make these little sun catchers and like give them away to people and they're like, "What's this for?" And it's just my way of like sharing joy and spreading cheer and helping people feel noticed and loved and you know because I feel like there's just so much that we focus on that's really not the important stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. I think it's interesting with that zoomed out perspective of literally life or death, where you're looking at it and
right,
saying, what is it that I'm filling up my day with, and how much of this really matters? Like, if you were
right.
facing death and if you were facing the end of everything, what would you want to be filling up your days with? And I feel like you got a second lease on life in that regard,
Yeah,
looking
for sure.
at it at a new perspective of, okay, now that I know that that's not happening and I have a new and my body is responding in such a 180, like I'm still just
Right.
blown that that's,
Yeah.
but I do truly believe that the body keeps score and
Hmm.
that our mental health and the roadmap of whatever it is that we're holding on to or keeping inside will present itself in ways
Right.
that we don't even understand or imagine
Right.
through our bodies and through our brains. Like,
Right.
isn't that fascinating? And
Right.
also, it can be a bit overwhelming because you're like, okay, what do I need to sort through? And especially where
Right.
you're kind of on the very fresh flip side of
Right.
this, what do those years look like? And maybe that could be
Right.
something that's, self-discovery down
When
the road.
like it felt like a brand new start. Like, okay, I have a fresh, clean slate. I've just
Mhm.
closed my business and given all my clients to somebody else. And now what am I gonna do? Like, like I could do anything. I could, and I listed out all the things that I would like to do and how I could help people. And um, just I've I've been really soul searching, like trying to figure out what is it that I need to do now? Like, I don't know. It's just really different. And every day is so much more meaningful because it all feels like a gift. Like it all feels like I'm supposed to learn something from this. And so I'm just always searching for, okay, what is that? And what can I help people with? And what can I learn? And how can I grow? And I don't know. Just it's a totally different perspective.
It really is. Now,
But it also makes me
professionally,
really scared.
oh, don't
Sorry.
be scared. Don't be scared. Why are you scared? Tell me why you're
Well,
scared.
it makes me scared that I'll get stressed out again and not take
Mm.
care of myself and fall into those habits because I really have a tendency to overwork and be really
Mhm.
like stressed, do this, and I push myself way too hard.
Yes.
And
Well, that's good to know. Here's the thing. One of the
yeah,
number one things that I'm coaching people on every single week is that oftentimes, especially with women that have been running a business for years, is that the hardest thing for them is learning how to trust that other people can do the jobs that
yeah,
they have been doing for years, and sometimes even better than they've been doing it themselves. But as the business owner, they need to be the
yeah.
ones to make those big decisions, move the needle, or it's very typical for women. We take on more, we take on more, we take on more. I can do it, I can do it,
Hmm.
I can do it. And rather than delegating and automating or systematizing, which are the things that I help people to figure out,
Hmm.
by taking on more, they're actually accomplishing less and
Right,
majorly putting their health at risk or their
right,
relationships or
right,
their mental wellness. There's so many aspects of that where we are so blessed to be in a day and age where we can, air quotes, have it all. But
right,
because we can take on more without people putting a filter there, we used to have filters where, we had to visit the baker to get the bread. We had to visit the dairy to get the milk. And even the traveling time took up a lot of space and gave
right.
us a lot of mental white space to move from place to place or to do this or that. Now we can have everything delivered to our door, which is fantastic and amazing. But how much more are we filling our brains with the mental capacity of more and more and more, where
Right,
we have to step back and be like, whoa, I am taking on way too much. And I feel like your
right.
story is amazing and also overwhelming, but I think more people can probably relate to that than we even know. Where they listen
Right.
to that and they say, like for me, I'll notice, and I'm curious what your triggers are. But I notice that when I'm taking on too much in my life, that I will have signs. One of mine is a sore jaw. Like I'll wake up and notice
Hmm.
I've been clenching, or for a period of time, my teenager was going through a rough time, and I, without knowing it, was holding up my left shoulder and keeping it
Hmm.
tense. And
Yeah,
I'm like, gosh, my shoulder's so sore. And I'd have to keep reminding myself, like, breathe,
right.
breathe, relax,
Yeah,
Or there are just different signals that your body or a certain kink in your neck or your back, or maybe for a lot of people,
right.
it's digestion, where they're either constipated or they can't eat because their stomach hurts or everything that they eat isn't processing well because we hold on to our emotions and trapped emotions
Hmm.
in our digestion. And there are so
Right.
many pieces of that where I'd be curious if maybe those are some things rather than living in the fear of that, of listening to your body of like, what are those cues that
Yeah.
before that big event happened, what were cues that were there? Can you identify any or think of any that you think might have been there?
Yeah, I had a stiff neck for a while. And
Mhm.
also I was having like problems with um I was going to get checked out because I thought I had like a colon problem, but it was actually my ovaries. And there was like all this perimenopause stuff happening, and
Which is a whole other ball
like
of wax.
right.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
like there was like all the emotions with that and stuff, but there was definitely signs that I was stressed, and I was trying to pull like late nights and once or twice all night, like trying to meet deadlines and just stupid things. Like I was acting like I was in my 20s and I'm not.
Mm. Good
I
point.
am,
Good point.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there was, there's most people would probably be like, why would you do that for a client? That's so crazy. Just go to bed. But I was just so driven to deliver and
Hmm.
to be the best and to, always provide the best service and the best, I'm a very perfectionist kind of person, and I've always had this drive to do well. And so it was it was hard to just kind of relax and take time off. I had to because I really couldn't do anything. I was sleeping like 14 hours a day at one point, and it was so crazy, but it was like God was saying, just settle down and just rest and relax and trust. And, that was the hardest thing, was to just trust and have faith that things would work. Because I was always trying to solve everything myself and
Mm.
always like, I have to find answers. I have to do this. I have to do that. And now it's just like, just be still and relax and trust that it will work.
Hey, my friends, just popping in here really quick to say if you are drowning in a to do list but never actually getting anything done, I hear you. This is the time to take back control of your day. And I've created a product for you for free that will help you to do this. It's called the Ultimate Time Audit and Productivity System. It is a free resource to help you pinpoint exactly where your time is going and what you should be delegating. My coaching involves a lot of time spent with business owners who are losing time, valuable time, on menial tasks that they could either delegate or create a system around, but first needing to understand how their time is being used. So imagine having more time for your family, your business, and yourself without the constant overwhelm. You can grab your free copy in the link below or at camillewalker.co and start working smarter, not harder. camillewalker.co is the website, but go ahead and grab that link below. And I would love to help you take back your time right now. There's something that comes to mind, an episode that I did here that I've used with my children and my husband. It's called the emotion code, where every day, and I wish I was doing it more because the times that I've done it, it's really been impactful. And it's a very simple practice. It's only supposed to take 3 to 5 minutes max per person. But you go
Hmm.
through all the major emotions and identify when you last felt that emotion. For example, I felt angry when, and then you fill in the blank of the last time that you felt angry. And then I
Hmm.
felt sad when, and then you fill in the blank of when you felt sad most recently. I felt lonely when, and you go through
Hmm.
the main emotions. And what this does is it actually identifies and unlocks emotions that are sometimes trapped in our bodies, and we don't even realize we're having them, but naming them and sharing them
Lets
clears
them
that
out.
space.
Huh.
Yes.
That's so fascinating.
My husband was having trouble sleeping for like 2 weeks. He was waking up in the middle of the night at like 3, 4 a.m. with work stress. And
Mm.
I had just done this interview and I thought, I wonder if we did this emotion code, if it would help. And he kind of rolled his eyes a little bit
Hmm.
and like, oh, what good is this going to do? And I'm like, let's just try it. Let's just be curious about it. I tend to share my emotions more openly than he does.
Hmm.
And so sometimes he'll be like, oh, well, that was very honest. I'm like, I've got to let you know. I'm just more open with it. But he will hold things in. And so I said, let's just be curious about it. So we did this emotion code. It took maybe 10 minutes. It was our first time. That was the first night he'd slept through the night in weeks. And
Oh,
it was
wow.
simply because he had identified those emotions and the last time he had felt it. And it was cool too, because I actually heard more behind the scenes situations of work that he hadn't told me about that made more sense of why he was feeling the overwhelm, the stress, that he was
Yeah.
bringing home with him. And so I think that maybe that would be something that would be interesting that you might want to
Yeah.
try. And for anyone
Yeah.
listening, if you look up emotion code and call me CEO, it should pop up. I'll do my research and put it in the show
Put it
notes
in the
below.
notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That would be cool.
yeah, there's so much here that I'm just so proud of you for sharing this and for being willing. I know that I'm curious in a year from now, we need to do a follow up and see how you're doing because I think that this may be more of a mission path of sharing this and discovering what's underneath it all for yourself than maybe you even know yet. I don't know. I'm just
Maybe.
guessing because
Yeah.
it's very powerful. However, you do have services that you help entrepreneurs with, and we're going to share that as well to give people the opportunity to have less stress when building our businesses. Now, one thing I help people with all of the time and I talk about all the time is hiring a virtual assistant. There are so many
Hmm.
pieces of your business where someone can do something better than you can. However,
Right.
Amy helps people figure out how to understand their website well enough that if you need tweaks or changes or you need to change the copy here or there, that you understand it enough that it doesn't feel like you could handle it yourself. So this doesn't
Right.
mean that this is like the deep coding business, but this
No.
is
Yeah.
just the very high level so
This
that
is
you're
like
not calling someone from the
survival.
hospital. Yes, the survival nitty gritty. And this is
Yeah.
pieces that you could have help with. Of course, I have someone who hosts my website. And if there's an emergency, I have someone I can email. And that just gives me a sense of major peace because
Hmm.
if I didn't have that, I think I would be really, really sad. This is with my other website where I have like
Yeah.
over a decade worth of content. So if I were to have someone hack that website, which I have, I do have someone in my back pocket where I can be like, emergency 911, help me
Yeah.
out, which is
Yeah.
fantastic. However, on my CamilleWalker.co website, there's copy and changes and dates for masterminds or things like that that I will a lot of times avoid doing because I feel like sometimes I don't know it well enough. So we're going to talk about
Yeah.
that type of thing. So tell us about the 3 C's for the patterns that you see entrepreneurs avoid with their
Yeah.
business.
So I noticed while I was trying to figure out what to do with my life, I was just kind of going through um, my past clients and seeing like who was the most successful and why. And what I found was that the people that had a few tech skills where they could do a few things themselves, they were still hiring me to do their web development, but they were hiring me for different things and for um, more complicated things. And their businesses were more successful. They had way more clients than the other people. And I was like, well, why is it that they're coming to me if they have these tech skills? And why is it that they are getting more clients? But I think it's because they can pivot quicker. They can save money for the big stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they can also be ahead of the game. Like they don't have to wait for technical help. They can just go ahead. If they have a crazy big dream, they want to do a sale or something, they can just go ahead and have it. Like they don't have to wait if their tech support isn't available for the next month or, if they want to segment their list and send something out, they know how to do that. They know how to get in front of their people quickly and save money and save time. So it's not about doing it all yourself. It's about knowing how to do the important things so that you can stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah,
So
I love it.
the things that I noticed were like being able to capture leads, being able to connect with your audience, and being able to convert. And those are the three most important things for most businesses is to be able to like capture leads. And I noticed a lot of my clients that were not so successful were not even capturing emails at all or didn't understand what to do with their list once they had it and they hadn't emailed anybody for like years. So most people either had a website that had a form that said newsletter, sign up, and there was no lead magnet, there was nothing there, and somebody else had put the opt-in form there and they didn't even know where they were being captured, or they didn't have anything and they weren't capturing emails at all and they were just relying on people to come back, you know?
Yeah.
And not even like that's so much money laying on the table that they were not even going after. And it's easy money. It's like those are the people that already like you, that already know you, that already have done business with you, and it would be so easy to get them to come back. So that's one place. And then connecting with those people, being able to write your own emails, being able to segment and design and know who you're reaching out to and know that those automations that you're setting up are not going to accidentally go to the wrong person and, you know,
Who's
and
your
then
favorite,
converting.
just while we're talking about email, who is your, I
Yeah,
know this is could be a whole episode, email alone, of course. Like people have
right,
whole podcasts just on email. But what is your
right.
favorite capture and connecting for email services?
I really like sender.net, and I
Okay.
just discovered them
I haven't
this
heard of that
year.
one. Oh.
Yeah, I was looking for something free for a client, and they had like less than 2,500 people on their list. It was probably like 1,500 people on their list. And so they just wanted something free that they could do
Hmm.
automations and send funnels and, you know, set up
Yeah.
things. And so I researched it for them and then I found it and I was so impressed. I switched over my stuff to them because I was like, why am I paying all this money for these other services when
Mm.
I could be using this too? So
What had you been
um,
using? I'm curious.
I was using MailChimp
Okay.
for years.
Hmm.
And you know, you have to have like a paid plan to be able to do their automations and
Yeah.
they're good, they're user friendly, but they're also expensive and um
Is
but
sender.net charged based on email size or email list size?
yeah, so you can have up to 2,500 people for the free plan.
Okay.
You can use your own domains. You verify all your domains and send through your stuff. So it's very like top of the line technology where you're doing things the best way. And then you have all these automations where you can set up um, funnels and, you know, if somebody does this, you do this, and if
Hmm.
and you can tag people. And I have several domains and several lists and forms going on different sites, and it's a lot of like possibilities with just a really cheap solution. So,
Yeah, I'll have to look at that. My list size is bigger than that, but having
well, and
automations is big.
even their pricing points are pretty low.
Are
Like
they? Okay.
yeah, it's I can't remember, but it seems like it's like 15 a month for the next step up. But it's pretty comparative with other people, except you get more in the free version. And I just like I like their layout. I like their forms. I like everything about it so far.
Very
So
cool. And then for conversion, what is your best advice for making the sales now that you have the capture and you're connecting with your audience through newsletters? What do you think is the best piece at, helping so many people do this? What are some of the best conversion tactics?
so most people are using WooCommerce or something like that. I'm actually using something called SureCart for my membership sites because I got a lifetime membership and I was like, I'm not going to pay monthly.
For sure.
And it integrates with all of their tools. And so I just went ahead and got all their, like, they have a thing that's like Zapier that
Hmm.
works on your website and it does all the little triggers. And then they have a membership thing. And so, like, all their tools work well with each other and they have lifetime access licenses available for all of them. So I figured it was worth my time and money to just do something that was, you know, pay once, be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you can use it on all your sites and your client sites. And so it's
I'll
kind of
make sure
nice
to
that
get
way.
those links for
Yeah.
those. But say that one again. You said it was sure,
Sure cart.
like
SureCart.
SURE.
Yep.
Okay. We'll look that up.
Yeah, but WooCommerce is great too. Like,
Hmm.
but you just have so many things you have to pay for with all the extra plugins and
Integrations. Yeah.
add-ons and yeah. So, but I mean, it's cheaper than Shopify because with Shopify you're paying like $100 a month for these plugins, whereas
Hmm.
with WooCommerce it's more like 100 or two per year. So,
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a huge difference. So, one thing
yeah.
that you talked about before that I really liked is that you said that people will avoid touching their tech. What was the way that you said it? Something
Yeah,
like,
so they're so afraid that they're going to break something that they don't update and they don't
yes.
back up. And so, like one of the main things you have to do is maintain your website because if you don't, you're going to have all kinds of things break down. WordPress is updating all the time
Hmm.
automatically. And so if you're not updating to keep up with it, sooner or later your site's going to break and nothing's going to work if you're not updating your stuff. Plus, that's like the number one way that hackers get into your site is outdated plugins and themes. So you really got to keep on top of it. And if you don't know how to maintain your site, you should be paying somebody to do it.
How
But if you
often do
don't want
you
to be
think, like, updating it? Should we be getting into it once a month?
At
Is it
least
enough
once a month, but
every couple weeks?
usually I would do weekly for
Okay.
all the sites that I would maintain professionally. It would be
Hmm.
like a weekly thing. So
Okay.
if you know how to do it yourself, um, you just know that you make a backup first. And then if you have a backup that you can restore from quickly, if something goes wrong, you just restore from your backup with another click. You know, it's like okay, it didn't work, restore, and then call your tech help person and say, this update didn't work. Can you help me figure out why?
And if
You know,
someone
it's,
needs to back up first, where do we typically
yeah.
find that backup?
So it depends. If you're like backing up through your host, you can back up with SiteGround or your host, whoever your host is. Usually you have like the opportunity to make automate automatic daily backups, but you can also save a manual backup right before you update so that you don't lose like customer data or things, because maybe a lot has happened in that day
Hmm.
since the automatic backup. So it's nice to make it right before you update, just so you have a good restore point. But there's also services like Managed WP, which is a service that you add a plugin to your site and then it connects and you can do backups and restore and it has a whole bunch of stuff like checking for malware, updating. Um, there's all kinds of stuff on there that you can do, but it's like $1, $2 a month for this backup service. It's super cheap.
And what is it
So
called again?
it's called
Okay.
managedwp.com. And it's made from GoDaddy, but you don't have to have GoDaddy hosting to use it. Like it's
Interesting. Okay, I'm
just
going
a
to for
nice
sure
service.
set that up
Yeah,
on my websites.
yeah,
So
it's really good.
I love that you have this going on because you are talking a lot about how our websites and our businesses are like gardens that we need to
Yeah,
nurture. So tell us a little bit
right.
about that and the free offering that you have coming up.
Okay. So my website is called cottagecoder.com and I just felt like women are natural nurturers and we like to take
Mhm.
care of things and we like to like watch things grow and see our creative works and see like all the things that we're taking care of. And we love to take care of our businesses, but we're afraid of tech. And so I feel like people can learn to nurture their tech as much as like as easily as they could learn to nurture their garden. So I've got these I've got a tech tea party coming up. That's like a place where you can come and get answers to your tech questions, get some quick wins of, some things that you can do right now to be able to maintain your site and make backups and how to install your um, email opt-ins or something, whatever people need help with. I'll just answer questions on the call and just grab your favorite cup of tea and join us to 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 take advantage of the things there. And so I have a link there and you can put it in your notes and is at cottagecoder.com/Camille T. And it's a place where you can come and sign up for a tea party and come and meet with us and see if you can get your questions answered. And then we'll have more in-depth workshops like where we can go into detail with that. But the tea party is just a quick fix way to talk about your tech problems that you're having right now. And
Perfect. I love that. I think that it's nice to know that you're not alone in having those
yeah,
questions. We're expected to know so much when we start businesses, and then we realize with everything there is to know, it's impossible to know it all. So this is a
right.
very safe place where you can come get your answers for free. And if you need more in-depth help, then of course Amy can help you. She is a wizard. So thank you so
Well,
much for
thanks, Camille.
sharing this. Yes, you're welcome. And thank you for being so open to sharing such a vulnerable time of your life. I'm so glad you're okay and that you got the help that
Yeah,
you needed for your brain to reset. And just like our businesses need resets, we do too. So if you have listened to this episode and felt inspired that now is a time that your body is telling you that you need to reset and to reassess or take a new perspective or take that vacation that you've been needing to take or hire that virtual assistant or whatever it is,
it is
please
so
do
worth
so.
it. Yeah.
Yes, please do so. Please don't
Yeah, don't
suffer in silence.
yeah, don't let your brain break.
Don't let your brain break because we need you and
Yeah,
you are valued and you're valued enough to rest. And I think a lot of times we forget that
yeah,
resting is valuable and resting has purpose and resting helps us to grow more. I think that we oftentimes think if I go harder, if I push harder, I will get more. And that is not the case. So
right.
yeah, let's remember that. Please share this message with anyone that you think could benefit from it. And also, if you could leave a 5-star rating and review and share this with your friends or on social media, it means the world to me as a small business owner. So thank you so much for being here. Amy, thank you for sharing your story and for opening up your tea party to us.
Thank you, Camille.
All right, we'll see you next time. Hey, CEOs, thank you so much for spending your time with me. If you found this episode inspiring or helpful, please let me know in a comment and a 5-star review. You could have the chance of being a featured review on an upcoming episode. Continue the conversation on Instagram at Call Me CEO Podcast. And remember, you are the boss.